right, well, it is about 6:30 in the morning right now, and got up at 3 o'clock this morning to get on the road. And my gosh, if there was ever a day where I needed one of these guys right here, this is it. I ended up rolling with the old Discipline Go Sour Apple Sniper just to get a little extra kick, because right now we are heading to Indianapolis to cross off a few more places off of the big list. Pretty pumped about some of the places that we have lined up for this trip. So anyway, getting filled up right now on fuel, and we're gonna get back on the road. All right, well, we made it here to Indianapolis, and as you can see, we have a little bit of a snow situation going on, which is fine. Now, Indianapolis, to the best of my understanding, is the home to more monuments than any other city in the United States except for Washington, D.C. So if we have time, I might do another video where we go around and take a look at all the monuments here, like this one in Indianapolis. But for right now, where I wanted to start off this trip was right here. This is the Indiana War Memorial. Now, there's a museum inside, and I won't lie, I really don't know what's here. So we're gonna kind of be discovering everything together in this one. But that's why I like going to these places. If I don't know something, well, I want to go in and walk out having learned something. So anyway, we're gonna go in here to the Indiana War Memorial and see what they got. All right, well, we just got inside, and feels a little bit warmer in here than it does out there. And of course, we're inside, so they've asked us to mask up. But anyway, looks like they're going through different eras of, war and combat as far as, people in Indiana are concerned. So I'm gonna dive in here and see what they got. Now, most people, me included, kind of associate the American Revolution as being primarily in the eastern part of the United States. Now, there was an action here in Indiana at a place called Fort Sackville that resulted in an American victory and the end of British control in the western frontier of the U.S. So they're kind of telling that story here and depicting it with this setup of the British general surrendering his sword to George Rogers Clark. I'll have to look up more about that. This is pretty cool. This is a muster roll from the 3rd New Jersey Regiment from the Revolution. Now, this might look familiar. This is the Gadsden flag, named after Colonel Christopher Gadsden, who was a member of the Continental Congress. He designed this standard for the flagship of Commodore Hopkins, who was Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Navy. It has this coiled rattlesnake ready to strike if it's provoked, with the phrase, "Don't tread on me," down below it. And of course, guns, guns, guns. And they have all kinds of interesting little items here, like a little piece of a Continental Army USA button, military pay stub, Continental dollar. Yeah, kind of neat little display. They have a section here devoted to the U.S. Navy during this Revolutionary era. What I found particularly interesting was this chain shot and bar shot. So you would have basically 2 small cannonballs rigged together with a chain, and whenever it was fired, the 2 shots would twirl around and would damage any enemy sails or rigging or masts. Just covers a little bit more ground. Oh, and I've mentioned grape shot before. Here's what grape shot looks like. So you can see like these little
look like ball bearings, and they would be put in kind of that canister looking thing, or a canvas bag rather, and then whenever fired, it would be like a giant shotgun. So this section right here is talking about Indiana's transition from a territory to statehood, which, to be honest, included some clashes with the Native Americans in this area, most notably at the Battle of Tippecanoe. So if you look at this mannequin's dress here, these militia were known as the Yellow Jackets. You can see that yellow fringe. And here they have some different items, from Native American tomahawks to arrowheads, bows and arrow. Ooh, and this is an original piece here, this Hudson Bay Company knife. That thing is cool. Yeah, we'll be looking at a little bit more on the Battle of Tippecanoe on this trip for sure. All right, so we're moving now into the Civil War section, and right here at the beginning, they have this model 1861 3-inch ordnance rifle, and this thing was super accurate, like out to a mile. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not if I get up close here, but you can kind of make out in the barrel there rifling, which made it extremely accurate. Love seeing these old guns. Here's something else that they have in this room that is pretty interesting. A lot of these regimental colors for like the 1st Irish 35th Regiment Indiana Volunteers. The one that I really found interesting was this one, really more so than the others. This is for the 28th U.S. Colored. Moving on now to the Spanish-American War. And look at this little guy. I kind of want one of those. Now, this is a really cool relic from the Spanish-American War. There's a bit of a glare. Let's see if I can fix that. This is a relic from the battleship Maine. This is a 6-pound sub-caliber practice piece. That is cool. Now, here, as we're moving through the history of Indiana in U.S. conflicts, you're really kind of seeing that as a microcosm of the evolution of U.S. arms and uniforms and things like that. So this is a Spanish-American War uniform. And then they also have, some different gear down here, like leggings, bugle, mess tin, canteens. Yeah, all kinds of neat little relics here. We've now moved into the World War I section, and as you can see, they have a few of my favorite things here. Have British Enfield rifle, U.S. 1917 rifle, along with a few bayonets, and of course World War I is where we see the introduction of the machine gun. So here's a German Maxim machine gun, and golly, that thing just looks mean. Now, here's something that has really captivated me lately, and that is World War I trench art. Trench art is basically where soldiers in their free time would take shells and make little art pieces out of them. I'm going to do a video about trench art one of these days because it really is interesting. They also have an extremely impressive collection of World War I propaganda posters in this section of the museum. I always enjoy taking a look at those. Wow, they've got some good ones too. And then here's a display showing some of the U.S. gear, like this Colt Browning M1916 machine gun. And then they also have the M1917 machine gun. This one's a little bit different. You can see that this one has the water jacket right here to help keep the barrel cool. Now, this is a really, I guess you could say, unique item. This is a stone from the bridge over the Marne River at Chateau Thierry. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is where the machine gunners from the 3rd American Division blocked an advance from the German Army. That is pretty cool. Also showing the involvement of women in World War I. So uniforms that women would have worn who were part of the American Red Cross or nurses. Yeah, very nice. Okay, now as you're going through these different rooms, they have different sections talking about Indiana natives and how they contributed and participated in each one of these conflicts. So I'm not going to go through each one of those, but if you come to this museum, which is free by the way, you can really learn a lot. So we're going to leave the World War I section right now and go into the World War II section. Now I have a World War II patch collection. But it does not quite look like this. This is impressive. These are all of the division patches of the divisions that participated in World War II on the American side. Nice. One thing that I really like is seeing bring back items from World War II, like souvenirs that the soldiers brought back, including this Nazi banner that was brought back by an Indiana native in the 100th Infantry Division named Robert Dorset. This is what's really cool though. So this bust of Hitler was brought back by a guy named Edward Hutton, and after the war ended, him and another guy, his commanding officer, went into Berlin to kind of survey the damage. Well, that was in the Soviet sector, so they went into the Reich Chancellery and they started just souvenir hunting. They dug in the rubble, and the Soviets had not got this yet. This was on the 2nd floor, and they ended up putting it in a wicker basket and burying it in different documents so that they could get it out without the Soviets seeing them, and then brought it home. That is cool as heck. Huh. By the way, just so that we are clear, I like those items for their historic value and for their historic significance, not because it's a Nazi flag and it has something to do with Hitler. I'm not a Nazi sympathizer, so don't be smoking me in the comments and putting words in my mouth. Just want to be clear on that. And moving on through the World War II display, they have several Japanese items. Some of them I'm assuming are bringbacks, and some of them may have been acquired through other means. Oh, and look at the officer's saber. Oh, I need one of those so bad. Now here's something that's kind of interesting. This piece of cloth here is called a 1,000-stitch belt. This would have been sewn by friends of soldiers or relatives, and it was designed to protect them from harm in combat, but didn't always work. Here's some more German items from World War II. They got a few helmets over here, and then the old MG-42, which was nicknamed Hitler's buzzsaw. This was a fearsome weapon. And then they have a few other things, like an MP-18. There's a Gewehr 43 right there. And then, of course, the highly sought-after Luger. Here's something else that they've done here that I really like. They give a shout out to the Allies, so the Soviets and also the Canadians and the British. So here you have like a British jungle carbine there at the bottom. There's a Russian PPSH-41 submachine gun. They also got the Mosin Nagant up there. So yeah. So I just really want to shake the hand of the people who put this museum together, because man, there are guns everywhere. Have a old Model 03 sniper variation, and of course the famed M1 Garand, another famous weapon of World War II, the Thompson submachine gun. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, they got I didn't even see this, got a flamethrower as well. Very, very nice. And looky here, they have a tribute to famed war correspondent Ernie Pyle. Ernie Pyle, I didn't know this, was an Indiana native, and unfortunately he was killed during the Battle of Okinawa, and I believe he's buried in Hawaii. But yeah, here they have a little tribute to one of the greatest war correspondents of all time. They also have a tip of the hat to the home front and the Rosie the Riveters, the women who worked in the defense industry to keep the guys on the front line armed and supplied. Hey, this place right here should look familiar because we have been there before on the series. If you check the videos from France and Belgium, this is the room where the term of surrender was signed. Whoops. Looks like somebody may have dropped their mask. So if you were missing a mask and you were here at the Indiana War Memorial, I'm going to leave that right there. It'll be by the USS Indiana battleship model. Here, as we are transitioning from one room to another, they have a model of the USS Indiana, which was one of 4 warships that were named after either the state or a city in the state. So if you come over here, you can see there's the Indiana, the Vincennes. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that. And then, of course, the Indianapolis, which met a tragic fate after dropping off the atomic bomb at Tinian. So just mentioned the USS Indianapolis. They have a special section here for that particular ship, and here's a model of what the Indianapolis would have looked like. So again, as I mentioned, it was tasked with carrying the atomic bomb to the island of Tinian. And then after it left, got hit, and nobody knew that they were gone. And take a look at this. Here they have like some of the ship publications, I guess you could say, that they would print and hand out to the soldiers. There's a cruise album back there. Wow. And of course, these guys had a terrible, terrible ordeal with sharks after the sinking of their ship. Absolutely tragic. Holy smokes. They also have the dress uniforms of some of the survivors of the USS Indianapolis, as well as, look at this, a Western Union telegram notifying the parents of one of these individuals. I'm trying to read it. But anyway, it's notifying him that he had been wounded. I guess that would have been for Paul McGinnis, whose uniform would be on the left here. Wow. So now we're moving into the Cold War section, and here they are depicting the Battle of Chosin Reservoir in the Korean War. Got another display here with all kinds of interesting artifacts. So again, here in the Korean War display, we've just got guns, guns, guns. Here's one thing that they kind of snuck in here, but that I really do appreciate. This is a mine detector, and really this is kind of personal for me because this is what my grandpa did in the Korean War. So it's kind of cool to see that they've included that. Now again, they have a lot of stories of Indiana natives here. Here's one by the name of Harold Serber, who again, was from Indiana, was in the Korean War, and was taken as a POW where he died in captivity. And they have his burial flag and also his medals and also his camera, which was among his personal effects. Man, you have to wonder what was on that film whenever they got it back. Huh. All right, moving now into the Vietnam display. And oh, dang. I guess we have a Cobra attack helicopter here. Wow. We've been going all in with the weaponry today, so we're just going to continue on. Got, again, these are Vietnam era weapons, so AK-47, M16 assault rifle, M60, the M72 Law, which stands for light anti-tank weapon, and then all kinds of other gear that the average infantry soldier in Vietnam would have been carrying with him. So they have another display here for an individual who is, again, from Indiana by the name of Sammy Davis, who was the recipient of the Medal of Honor, and they have his Medal of Honor and uniform on display here. Very, very cool. And there's all kinds of just documentation and everything that they have on display, but you can look up his story. Pretty fascinating. And they wrap up looking at the war on terror, of course, focusing on the events of September 11th. So if you look here, wow. There's one of the steel beams that was taken from the wreckage of the World Trade Center. Huh. And then if you go over here, this chunk of concrete is from the facade of the Pentagon. Wow. So we started off around the French and Indian War and Revolutionary War and progressed all the way up to this point right here. So this is a look at the modern American soldier, and here they're depicting a U.S. soldier giving a greeting to an Afghan citizen. Yeah. Lots and lots to see and learn here. As I've gone through here, I learned that the complex that I'm in was built to honor the soldiers of World War I, and where I'm at right now is in the upper level in a place called the Shrine Room. Another interesting fact, John J. Pershing actually laid the cornerstone to this building, and this room right here is built from materials, or includes materials, from all of the Allied nations that fought in World War I. And then they've also got paintings of all of the leaders from that war as well.
All right, well, that was the Indiana War Memorial right here in the heart of Indianapolis. And let me tell you something. Whenever I say that I did not even show a fraction of what they have in there, I mean it. I think I was just in there probably 2.5, 3 hours, and I felt like I was rushing through. So if you're ever coming through Indianapolis, definitely come to this place right here because it is worth it. There are so many different artifacts that are packed in there and different things to read and learn. Yeah, good way to start off my trip here in Indiana. But I'm gonna go find myself a hotel, and then tomorrow we'll be off to the next place.